Hello, good afternoon. So, other dimension of space is tourism. And in space tourism, for us, the challenge is how to make space tourism much safer, more affordable, and eco-friendly, more sustainable on that. Let me take a step back. When I was 6 years old, it was the first time that a cosmonaut, a human, went to space, Yuri Gagarin in 1961. When Apollo 11 landed on the moon in 1969, I was 14 years old. I think that during this period, which was the race for space with the Mercury, the Gemini, the Apollo program, I think that almost every night I was dreaming of space. And for me, it has been the dream since then. And I've had the opportunity to meet a number of astronauts. All of them, they say that when you are about the atmosphere and you are in the darkness and the dimness of space and you watch the curvature of our planet and the blue halo at the edge, then it is a transformational experience. You feel that something changed in terms of your relationship with our planet, with our Earth. So today we have two ways to experience this overview effect, which is how they have baptized this experience. One is going into orbit. The first paying passenger that went into the International Space Stations for a few days was Dennis Tito. This mission, this experience, was organized by Space Adventures, and it is said that he paid $21 million. The last customer or passenger of Space Adventure last year, he paid, I think, $55 million. So tickets are pretty high. In the industry, we believe that by 2030, it will go down to 30 million, but still very, very high tickets on that. We have another option, which is take a parabolic flight and reaching 100 kilometers, which is where the frontier of space starts, and we can take this ride with Virgin Galactic or with Blue Origin. They're really kind of very adrenaline intense kind of experiences. The trip with rocket vehicle lasts something like 12 to 15 minutes with Blue Origin or Virgin Galactic once they're out of the mother plane. And the tickets are about $500,000. So it is intense at $500 per second. So it is also intense for the packets in that sense, and for a limited number of people. And our approach is somehow different. Is first, we do not need a rocket to experience the overview effect. Many of you may remember this image of Felix Baumgartner, a skydiver who jumped with Red Bull, I think it was in 2012, from an altitude of 39 kilometers. So he climbed with a gas balloon, he was inside a capsule, and then he opened the door, as you see, stood out and jumped. Right? So great and impressive kind of experience for that. But for me, the point is, if you see, what you can watch at this altitude of 39 kilometers, and you remember the previous images, is basically the same. Because the key point is being above the atmosphere. When you are now here and you have the sunlight, we see a blue sky because of the air, right? When you're above, you're out of it. Think of our planet as a big ball, as a big sphere of 12,000 kilometers diameter, almost. Then if you are, as we are now on this sphere, if you jump for 30 kilometers or 100 or 300, basically it is the same. It is so big that the angle is very similar. So we don't need to go to 100 or 300 kilometers, like the space station, to have this experience. Our approach then is same as Felix Baumgartner. We have a capsule. In this case, it's a pressurized capsule. We take 8 passengers and 1 pilot in our company in Hello Space, hanging from a huge balloon. It's 120 meters in diameter. We climb to 35 kilometers of altitude, and we enjoy this experience. And our objective is think that since the first cosmonaut, Yuri Gagarin, until now, less than 700 people have enjoyed this overview effect. Our objective is by 2030 to offer this experience to 10,000 passengers, starting in 2026. And we will not be alone. There is, in this near space segment, there is room for 4-5 players. We will be offering very kind of soft flights, I would say, because we are with a balloon. So we will climb at 20 kilometers an hour, like when you're riding a bike. It will take 2 hours to get to that altitude. We will stay at the apogee for 2 to 4 hours, and then descend, further releasing gas with the balloon, and then with a steerable parachute. So this experience is something that is real. We are, at this point, there are something like 4 players. Now we are Hello Space in Spain, 2 companies in the US, 1 in France, but we are the first and the only company for the moment that has performed test flights with the real size capsule. And we have performed 5 test flights. In the picture that you have at the top, it is our first flight. It was in India, in Hyderabad. And when you have a huge balloon like this, you have to go for the time of the day where you have less ground winds, which is 1 or 2 hours before sunrise. So the pity of it is that when you're on the ground, you launch, and in a few seconds, the capsule and the balloon get lost into the night. So you don't see much from the ground on that. But you see the pictures, and you see the approach and landing with the steerable parachute. These are flights that we performed at Mojave Desert in California last year. And in one of the bottom pictures, you see the parachute and the capsule approaching the ground with a shadow and a car by it. So we are able to land in an area, in a radius of a few hundred meters of the targeted area. What is our magic? So because at the end of the day, in this type of approach, balloons have been around for 200 years. Stratospheric balloons for 100 years. A pressurized capsule since the first ride to space in 61. And this type of steerable parachutes for 40 years. So it is not about technology. It is integrating the technology and making a safe flight for humans. Taking them to the stratosphere and back in safety is not an easy task. But what makes us, I believe, really different and innovative is on the operating model. The classic approach is that you have the vehicle manufacturer, be it an automobile or be it an airplane or any other sort of vehicle, you have this manufacturer specifying and then sending the specifications to the tier 1 suppliers, and then they cascade it down to the tier 2, to the tier 3. So it is a point where basically there is one specifying and the rest executing, the others executing. We are taking a different approach, which is the ecosystem approach. Think of an ecosystem, in this case, as a network of nodes, and the nodes being the different participants, the different players that are doing that. And here, every node is contributing with innovation, is contributing with their capabilities, and it brings a quite different kind of approach. So in our case, the company was founded in 2021, less than 3 years ago, and in the first, not in the first year, in 14 months from the creation, we were able to perform our first flight. In 2 years, we have performed these 5 test flights. And this is by far very effective compared to our competitors, to our other players in this segment. And it is not only in terms of development time, it is also in terms of money efficiency, cost efficiency. It's public domain that we have achieved this with only 10 million euros. And where others in the classic approach may take 5 to 10 times this amount of that. In our case, for example, we have our core team of engineers, very experienced aerospace engineers. We have an engineering company doing all the design calculations, but this engineering company is working with the engineers of the capsule manufacturer of Aciturri, or CT engineers working with the manufacturer of the capsule, and with the engineers of the mission planning and control, ground control systems. So this collaboration, in an extended team, is what makes the difference. It is the difference of this ecosystem approach. And I came to my bold prediction on this space tourism industry. And my prediction is that by 2030, which is not that far away, near space flights will be normal. We anticipate that in the first 2 years of our operation, we will get passengers with a more adventurous type. But after we have taken 1,000 passengers or 2,000 passengers in the industry, at the end of the day, we're flying a balloon, right, in a comfortable capsule. In our case, very nicely designed, because we have in interior design, we have the privilege of having Frank Stevenson, who's a big name in the automobile industry. He has been designer for Ferrari, for Maserati, for McLaren. He has designed the revamped Mini for BMW and the Fiat 500. So think of a very nice but very kind of realistic interior of the capsule. So it will become normal. And we will operate in the 5 continents. In our case, in Hello Space, we are having bases in Saudi Arabia, in Australia, in the US, and in Spain. And there are players who are thinking of operating on the sea, like a space perspective in Florida. There will be a segmentation of the market in the 2030s by type of experience, more adventurous. You kind of drop the capsule at 30 kilometers and reaches 800 kilometers an hour on the way down, or more relaxed experience, more luxury, different types of it. And 2 small predictions for the other categories. In suborbital, my prediction is that we will see this parabolic kind of flight or suborbital category ramping up, scaling up in the next decade. Because for that, we need a new generation of space vehicles. With the current generation of a space vehicle, the Virgin Galactic is evolving, so it is very difficult for the operator to make money, to be profitable, which is one of the bases for something that continues. So next decade. And for the orbital category, my prediction is that by 2030, maybe 10 years from now, say it's not at the beginning of it, we will have space hotels. We will have this experience of hotels orbiting our planet. We have VASP performing that. We have Axiom. There will be private space stations that will not be only designed for professional astronauts, for scientists performing research, but will be for passengers who want to enjoy for a few days this experience of the overview effect and of orbiting the planet. So wait for 6 years to see if my prediction is right in space tourism. I'm convinced that for near space it will be the case, and wait for a bit longer to see the ramp up of this parabolic experience, suborbital, and for the space hotels. And I think that in the next years we will start with the booking list for these hotels. We will start with this next generation of suborbital flights, and for near space, it is coming very soon. In 2 years, you are invited to fly. Thank you.